Howdy, it's Mr. Pete 222 again, and welcome back. And this is part 3 of a 3-part series where I am making essentially egg-shaped weights for duck decoys for my grandson. That's a sample that he bought, and in part 1 I designed and made and printed out the 2 3D patterns such that I could cast the molds themselves. And then in part 2 I proceeded to machine and put the pins in and drill holes and all of everything that was entailed and necessary for a complete mold. And now today I'm going to pour some weights, and I'm already set up here. I'm out in the garage. This is my McEngelvin molding bench, and I'm just working on top of it. I've got some bricks and some protective metal here, and I swiped my wife's big stirring spoon to scrape the lead. She'll never notice the difference. Might discolor, but and then her chicken pan, roasting pan, I got that out here too. So here's my little plumber's furnace. You've seen this countless times, and I am heating up some lead right now. And I'm very much hoping that Jimmy DeResta is not watching, because I'm melting down a bucket full of type lead. However, it's all mixed for sizes and typeface, so it's junk, and it's starting to melt here in the pot. So I will proceed to preheat the mold. And you know, the first one that I cast is usually a failure, but remember, well, let me tell you something about the mold again, if you haven't watched the other part. I did do a test run to make sure that it works. And remember that I made that in a larger size here, just for the heck of it, to show you that you could make any size decoy weight that you want. Well, here's the one I'm going to use today. And remember, I told you that it's pretty hard to drill holes in lead, so I have a core print here, and these are 1/8" dowels that I bought at Ace Hardware, and cut them to length and deburred them. And each time I pour one, I will have a core. We'll call it a core. It's in the core print, and assembled like that, clamped with this nice little vice grip. And I will heat this up now. I will preheat this, because you can't pour lead into a cold mold. I think you know that, and it's not much different than doing sinkers, lead sinkers. You've seen me do that, or my grandson do that. And this type of mold could be made with handles or just all kinds of other designs. I bought that for $7 one time, but I could put a hinge on here, but I'm not gonna. This is good enough for the run, and I think I'll make a couple dozen of them perhaps, but I won't show it all. That would take too long. But let's see. The lead is starting to melt. It's a bit slushy initially. Hope my wife doesn't come in here. I think that'll clean off good enough so that she can stir the stew tonight. I'm not proud. I'll melt down just about anything I got that's made out of lead. There's some battery terminals. Make sure you don't get any water near hot metal, molten metal. And wheel weights work quite nicely too, because it's a hard lead, and the steel clips on there will float to the top, and I will remove them with the dross. And right now I'm going to put the mold itself on there to kind of preheat. Well, I think, you know, I did take a trial test on this to see if it would work the other day, and I was hoping, see, this sprue here will be cut off. I was hoping that the wood would pull right out, but of course it doesn't. This one does, because it's something I tampered with, but it would be nice if they pulled right out. I thought that the wood would char, but the metal just isn't hot enough to cause it to char. So I will cut the wood off and then proceed to drill it. Hopefully the drill will follow the wood. The wood is, I think, softer than the lead, but maybe not. Even if the hole goes crooked, I guess it doesn't matter. That's 1/8". Alright, here we go. Now make sure you wear gloves and safety glasses and keep water away, as I just said. And I've already poured a couple and they seem to be working just fine. So I'm using a bottom pour crucible. Not that that is necessary. And you know what, I said crucible, I really mean ladle. That was a ladle. Note how I put some lead up close to the furnace to kind of preheat. And I turned the flame down. It was getting a little too hot, and it's all by good judgment. It's not, no formula for that. And here, remember why I put those little slots in there? That's warm. Need to straddle it. Looks pretty good. Okay, I think you get the point, and I did speed up some of that footage there, and I could do this ad infinitum, but let me show you the way Jordan would do it. Now, I talked about this in an earlier video. Jordan, he's in a hurry, so he made this whole wooden mold out of 2x4s in about 15 minutes, where I spent 3 days doing what I did, and these won't be as pretty, but let's see how this works. He's not around now. It's leaked between the two cavities. Maybe it's even coming out the bottom. Now he's got 2 C-clamps on each end, like the pressure is 1,000 pounds PSI. I wonder if this is leaking out the bottom. Well, it's leaking into the third one. So Jordan, in all his wisdom, he needs some C-clamps here in the middle too. Well, that's not melted yet, so I'll come back in just a couple seconds, but you can see that, I didn't mean melted, I mean solidified. The wood obviously doesn't suck the heat away from the molten metal like the aluminum mold. Be right back. Well, we can see right now that it needs a lot more clamps, doesn't it? Not 2 on each end like he put. You see that there's 2 there and 2 down there. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes here. Let's see what Jordan's wooden mold looks like. I might have to split it here a little bit to get it open. A little bit of charring there. You can see the way it leaked here from one cavity to the other, and that, of course, is caused by the wood is warped and untrue, and it needs more clamping. So let's see if they come out readily. Rougher than a cob. That one is still in the slushy state. That was the very last one that I did. Right back in the pot. I didn't wait long enough. And they can be cleaned up, but of course they got to be drilled. And I'm not liking that at all, but you could make them whatever weight you want regarding changing the length. Just, oh, hot, hot, hot. All right, I made 3 of those and what, about 8 of the other ones. I'm going to turn the whole thing off right now and let it cool down and take these down the basement and evaluate it, talk about it a little bit, and then conclude the video. And thanks to my wife for allowing me to use this. So I got to take that to the wire brush or something and try to get that cleaned up. Sneak it back into the kitchen. But I do like that. Better than the L-shaped piece that I used to use, if you remember that from my older videos. Okay, I hope you like this part. Stick around with me for the conclusion here, and where I kind of wrap up the whole thing. But that's as far as I'm going to take it. If Jordan wants to make up, 50 of these, because he has an awful lot of decoys. See you in a few minutes. Okay, I'm down in the basement now, and notice how I'm holding it. It just gives me a handle. Probably not necessary, but 1/8 inch bit in a Craftsman drill. And I want to see how well the wood drills out of there. Will the drill follow the hole, or will it end up off to the side? I suspect off to the side, because the lead is probably softer than the wood. No, that drilled out nice. So there's no need to do it in the drill press. I had thought about doing it in the drill press, as I'll show you right now. I'm always thinking about different ways of doing things, and this is absolutely unnecessary, but in the little V-block portion of the vise I'm holding the egg now, and that would be a good way to do it. But again, that degree of perfection is absolutely unnecessary for what this is, but just throwing that out there for your approval, or disapproval, if you will. I bought these bamboo skewers at a garage sale. I forgot what I paid for them. But they also are 1/8 inch in diameter, and that originally was what I was going to use for the cores. And I in fact did a couple that way, but the bamboo is quite hard compared to the cheap dowels, and the drill bit didn't follow the bamboo, you know, it wandered off. But the whole idea here now is that these can be clipped off. I'll just sand it off, but it could be clipped off. And now it's ready to drill. You saw me clipping these off just with a nipper or a wire cutter, but I think it's better to do it in the bandsaw. Like that. And then they can be cleaned off if you want to, probably unnecessary on a belt sander. Something like that. Okay, I've shown you how to drill the holes in the egg, and now I need to talk about how to drill them into Jordan's little weights.
Hey, hon, I want to fix a roast chicken for supper. Have you seen my roasting pan?
I have not. I don't know where it is. Let's just get chicken from KFC tonight.
Okay. It's too hot to cook anyway.
Let's see, where was I before I was so rudely interrupted? Well, I'll take this, and that can be sawed off or just belt sanded off. But boy, these are rough, aren't they? So I think I'll drill one in the lathe just to show you how to do that. But it could be just as well done on the drill press, but the hole would not be as true. Probably not down the center. Well, that little nipple on there could be cut off just so most of that is gone, and then alright, ready to drill. Here's Jordan's weight chucked up in the closing lathe, but it could just as well be done, of course, in the drill press or even with a hand drill. Okay, that's a little more work than I thought it would be. Okay, there's Jordan's with the hole drilled in it now, but I think you can see the advantage now of using a core and preforming the hole. You know, especially if you had a lot of these. Let's say you're going to make 500 of them. It would make a big difference, wouldn't it? And that would be a perfectly serviceable weight. I like the looks of the egg, but then again I'm prejudiced because that was my design. You know, I said that these were going to be 6 ounces. Let's weigh them on the Toledo scale and see what they truly are. And remember, this is a 6 ouncer. This commercially made one is a 6 ouncer. So let me grab that scale real quickly here. Real quickly now. Holy Toledo! Here's the commercially made one, but the cable is on it. Just a little over 6 ounces. Here is Jordan's 6.8 ounces, almost 7. And where's mine? little bit underweight. Oh boy. 5.85 ounces. I was off on that, but you know, if it mattered, I could make new ones that would be, let's say, 105%. I'm guessing now. That probably would get me to the weight I want. And I still have no idea what this larger one would be, but I suspect that that probably is about a 10-ounce weight. I'm just guessing. Well, let me summarize now. I went from an idea and the original and Jordan's needs to the 3D printed patterns, from which I cast the aluminum mold, and from the aluminum mold, of course, I cast in lead the egg weights, the 6 ounces. That's what it looked like when it came out of the mold. And where's a finished one here? And there's a finished one. Well, that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. And I did have pretty good register. Remember, I worried about would these two pieces be in alignment without having put the holes in the three. Well, let's see, way back in Tinkercad. Now that video will be available. Not video. These prints will be available in Tinkercad if anyone would want that. Alright, you can go to Tinkercad if you have a notion, and Mr. Pete 222, there's my recent designs, and Decoy Mold 1 is the name of that. I doubt anybody would do that, but there it is, available to the public at no charge and no taxes. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video series. Be sure and watch all 3 parts and join me in my 900 other videos. This is Tubalcain saying so long for now.